On the afternoon of August 23, 2014, Tanya Harris wheeled her younger brother Cameron to the Biz-E-Bee store on the corner of Reckonfort Avenue and Division Street in Biloxi, Mississippi. Nothing about the afternoon, or about Cameron, or about Tanya herself, suggested this would be her final time doing so. She was merely out of cigarettes, and her brother, slack-faced and sulky on a day that felt lethally humid, short on beer. Tanya Harris is a squat, wide-hipped woman of 29, whose gently popped eyes lend her face an expression of perpetual surprise or amazement, and whose flat-footed manner of walking appears consciously orchestrated, as though she's never outgrown the fear of stepping on a crack, thereby breaking her mother's back. She'd recently dip-dyed one side of her hair, which is naturally a dingy shade of blonde faintly slashed with premature gray, and on this afternoon, streaks of a vividly chemical pink spilled down one side of a white T-shirt on which was printed, "Happy, happy, happy." Some of her many tattoos were already ridging from the heat, their edges swelling as though the ink was approaching a simmer. Pushing her brother's wheelchair down the center of Reckonfort Avenue to avoid the uneven jags of the sidewalk and the mini dunes of sand swept there, she maintained the freewheeling stream of humming, commentary, rhetorical questioning, and singing that is her hallmark to family and friends. "She does not shut up," grumbles her brother, with acerbic affection. "Not ever." The chorus to Jay-Z's song 99 Problems came flitting between observations about the swampy-ass August heat and her sharp denunciation of a neighbor whose neglected laundry, drooping on a mildewed clothesline, had already weathered, by Tanya's reckoning, its third rainstorm. "Gonna need to rewash every one of those shirts," she muttered, over the fwap, fwap, fwap of her flip-flops spanking the asphalt. The sight of a chow mix chained to a ginkgo tree in another neighbor's front yard elicited the same cluck of pity it had been eliciting from her for almost a decade. Her brother Cameron wasn't listening, or if he was, he doesn't remember it. As he explains, "She repeats things 2 or 3 times if you're supposed to answer." But Cameron was also, by his own admission, a little out of it. He'd popped his first can of Bud Light at noon to wash down the Klonopin and Concerta he was taking for anxiety and memory loss, and he'd followed that beer with 3, maybe 5 more. "Thermal angel blood," he calls it, a reference to a blood and intravenous fluid warmer he'd seen medics use during his combat tour in Afghanistan. Afghanistan was the last place Cameron ever walked. More precisely, on a ridge outside the mountain village of Sardasair in the Darakuj district of Zabul province, where in the early hours of March 22, 2010, Private First Class Harris and a fellow soldier wandered off course during a foot patrol. Cameron was roughly 12 yards away when the soldier, a staff sergeant, stepped on a PMN-2 landmine, a buried remnant from the former Soviet occupation. The explosion sheared off the staff sergeant's legs, genitals, and right forearm, and blasted 79 pieces of shrapnel, along with bone shards from the sergeant's legs, into Cameron's body. 1 or more of those fragments severed the nerves of his lower vertebrae, instantly paralyzing him below the waist. 2 doctors at the Landstuhl Regional Medical Center in Germany divulged the permanence of his condition to him on the evening of his 22nd birthday, bookending the news with brief and awkward apologies for the poor timing.